All right, guys, today is Mental Health Awareness Day. I feel like it's important to talk about this anytime you get a chance to talk about it because there are so many people hiding who have mental health issues or afraid to admit that they have mental health issues or just embarrassed to, quite frankly, some people just don't understand how to deal with or handle it. So today we're just going to briefly talk about mental health and give you a few things that I use to keep my mental health in check. Hey, y'all stay tuned. There are a lot of things in life, guys, that we seem to deal with each and every day that can be debilitating to the mind. That's why I often talk about the mind as much as I can because I feel like I'm an abolitionist for the mind. I want to be able to free the mind, even if physically you can't be free from something, ailment, physical confinement, whatever the case may be. But if you can protect the mind, if you can free the mind, if you can open up the mind to, let the other people around you know how you feel, to allow yourself to feel something, it can definitely truly change you and define you. That's why I talk about the importance of my family, my friends, and there's people, random strangers that you meet that you never know what that encounter can bring. Because encounters are real, encounters are needed, and even the bad encounters can do you some good if you can utilize it in the right way. For me, in my mental health, one thing that I do, and I just want to let y'all know this. I know a lot of Christians out there feel like all you need is Jesus and that's it. You're correct. All you need is Jesus and that's it to protect you, your mind, and everything else. But if you don't know how to use Jesus in the ways to help you grow, to help you sustain yourself, then you have to get someone who is a professional who can help. There's nothing wrong with having Jesus over your life and having a professional in your life as well. Somebody who can help you, who can guide you, who can give you direction. We all need direction in something. So I want to let that be known because people who deal with anxiety, depression, it all stems from something. Sadness, fear, whatever the case may be. Some people don't know how to place that. Some people don't understand where to channel that energy and how to diffuse those feelings. So yes, Christ is the way. His Bible is the way. Number one, first and foremost, above all, that is the way. If you do not know him, you should give it a try. Open it up and read it. At the least, you'll see some moral good, some great wisdom, and some things that I believe that can change you forever. Now, I only say that Jesus is everything because I just believe that. But I also say professionals are good because even people in church commit suicide. Even people in church who believe in Christ wholeheartedly as much as I do, sometimes get in situations from the pastors on down and do not know how to handle those situations, do not know who can they talk to. And a lot of times you see this in leadership. A lot of times you see this in celebrities and in your everyday community. Somebody who you thought was strong was really mentally weak. Somebody who you thought was strong because of their physical appearance, really mentally weak, or because of their work ethic, have been mentally weak. And it shocks the world when they take their life. But it didn't shock them because they knew it years ago. As I often write on my website, they knew it years ago. They've been gone. So how do we bring those people back? How do we bring ourselves back? How do we center ourselves? Well, truthfully, a lot of times it's hard to center yourself unless you can reach out and talk to people and put a big community around yourself, making yourself ultimately vulnerable, just like Christ on the cross. He was extremely vulnerable. He was stretched out for the world to see, abused because of us, to save us. So that's an awesome picture that you first have to be willing to, when you're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with all these different issues, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. See, you're already vulnerable because you fear things bother you, because you're depressed because of the situation. You may have lost your spouse, you may have lost your mother, your kids. So you're already vulnerable in that state, but you have to be completely vulnerable. And that's the hardest part, which is why I see a lot of men take their lives, because that vulnerability, that sudden change, those fears that you have, when they actually come to pass in your face is like, where do I go? For me, it's always Christ. But for me, it's always Christ, because he gives us ways to deal with it first. And then he gives you the common sense to get the help you need second. Now, I never recommend medicine, but some people may need it, and I don't knock people for it. But as long as you can use it, utilize it, and get past it is what matters. Because I just don't know how the healthcare system, and sometimes they try all these different drugs and they get our people hooked, and then they can never be set free because now they're dependent on something. So I have to say, you must be dependent on Christ. If you know him, if you don't know him, hit me up. I'll help you. Trust me at 41media@gmail.com. You just holler at me. I'm there for you. And if I'm not there, I can get somebody that can help you. And those are professionals that can give you some assistance so you can get over the hump that you may be in, or the slump that you're in. People always talk about get over the hump, be strong, especially with men. Y'all say, hey, be strong, don't cry, don't do this or that. But it's actually the opposite. Man, you got to cry sometimes. You can't always be the strongest, because you know how you feel when you just keep yourself from crying. It makes your heart hurt sometimes. And it makes you feel like, man, I don't know what to do. You hurt so much that you're so angry you can't even see straight. You fear so much that you can't even think straight. Everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, the slightest noise distracts you. And we're in these deep places, and we got to be able to pull ourselves out. Now, that is the thing that you must do. Everyone can talk to you. You can go to professional. You can go to Jesus. You can do all these things, but unless you are willing to submit yourself to be pulled out, to be plucked out from that deep space, then you're just going to be in that deep space. So some things that I do to try to regulate myself, to keep me right, is there are things, physical things you can do: exercise, talk, write, read, listen to other stories, go to different meetings, those meetings that allow you to express yourself. If you need to go to a psychiatrist, go to a psychiatrist. If you need to talk to a doctor, go to whoever you can. Go to somebody who you know would who would take what you're saying serious. And guess what? Sometimes you don't know who will take what you're saying serious unless you open up your mouth to say something. Because even though they may not know how to help you themselves, they may know someone who can. I just know the mental health issue is something that I'm glad is on the national stage. I'm glad we're paying attention to it. And there's one thing that Christ always talked about. The Bible always speaks of the mind and the protection of it, because you can be well and strong physically, and as you know, you could be dead inside. Your mind can be dead. So the mind is important, because if the mind leaves, then there's nothing left. And it's hard to get that back. But it's possible. So I'm just reading this Deuteronomy from the Bible, the Old Testament, Deuteronomy 31:8, and it says, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Who in life won't be afraid? But we are. But he's telling you not to be, because he understands that we will be. There will be moments of fear. But he said, do not be discouraged when you are, because he will never leave you nor forsake you. I don't know any person on this earth who will not forsake you at some point. If they just did everything right by you but died, they forsake you, because they can't do anything else for you once they leave. But because of this living Christ, because of this God here, he can be there for you forever. He can be there for you forever. And you can live with him if you are willing to stretch out your hands and just give it a chance. If everything you tried in life hasn't worked at this point, then you might need to try something else. Because life is about, ultimately keep trying, keep striving, keep going. The struggle will eventually end. I know a lot of times we feel like the struggle will never end. The struggle will never end. But do not fear, because you are loved. And you do not have to be strong all the time, because he's strong. But you don't have to fear because you love. You don't have to fear. You don't have to live in depression, because you need to know that you love. Until about 3 years ago, love for me, I didn't really care about it. I started realizing that people need it, though. There are a lot of people that don't know that they love. For me, I didn't care if I was loved or not. Maybe it's because I knew I was loved. I don't know. I can't honestly say. But I do know people need to be loved. And if you can give somebody a hug, if you can pat somebody on the back, if you could say something constructive to them to help them get over a hurdle, something constructive for me is just saying good morning. Hey, keep up the good work. Hey, strive for excellence. If you don't know how to do any of that, just keep living. And it'll work out. And then you come back and say something else. You know, I always talk to my family and friends about strategy and how you should always have a strategy in place. And I think it is important to be strategic in the people all around you, especially if you want to assist in the mental health. But before we talk about assisting in mental health, hey, make sure you check out the Red Tape Podcast at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, so on and so forth. Give it a try, check it out, and let me know what you think. And how you let me know what you think is by your subscriptions and your ratings. And we only take 5 stars. So anyway, I just want to get back into how can we help? How can others assist? We talked about how to get out of those slumps, but those around these individuals who may be dealing with mental health, how can you assist? A lot of times it's not even with words, but just being willing to listen, then being willing to give them a hug, and then being willing to tell them that we're going to get through this together, because it takes a we, not just a I. Now, I know I initially said, and I mean that it does take that person to want to get out of that slump, as we often see, but it also takes the people around them to want to pull them up and not just roll their eyes and not just say, here we go again, because mental health is serious. I've seen it face to face. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've experienced it, and I know that it can be a place that is super dark, and it's a place that when you're in that darkness, you cannot see. I know all y'all have went to the restroom in the dark because you don't want to call on the light because you know it's going to wake you up. It's going to wake you up. And when it wakes you up, it's pretty much over. You might as well get up and get ready for work. Or you're walking in the dark and you stump your toe or something. You're like, please, God, don't let me hit this bed. You feeling all around you. And that's what it is in the dark place in mental health. Sometimes you're feeling all around you. And sometimes you're just walking through and just aimlessly walking. Just like, all right, whatever happens, if I hit something, forget it. I'm not cutting on this light. And I'm only saying this light because some people that are in these spots of mental health sometimes want to be there. They don't want the light to come on because then they have to be awakened. But we have to be there to force them to open up their eyes to see the light. You have to be the light around them. Mental health in the dark is a place that nobody really wants to be. Nobody wants to be. Yes, sometimes you got to have depression to get over things. Sometimes you're going to have anxiety until somebody tell you don't have to fear. Fear not, because you're loved. But if you're around these individuals and they need assistance, they need help, the thing to do is not to judge them, because that's the reason why they don't want to reach out for help. Especially for men who are known, you got to be the protector, the provider. You be all these things that I always talk about. But in that, you also got to understand that even being a protector and a provider, you're vulnerable too. You're vulnerable. You're human. Things can happen. Things change in life. Life is forever changing. The only thing consistent in my life is Christ. Everybody around me could die. Everybody around me could forsake me. Everybody around me could get tired of him, like, forget it. I'm done with this man. But the one that won't is Christ. And that's the message for me on any mental health day, on any day of the week, that I challenge you to try him. And I challenge you to try getting professional help if you struggle with it. And I challenge you to just write things down in your life and to see where you're weak, where you're strong, and those things can help you. And then express those to the people around you. Because another reason what helps me in my mental health to stay strong is that I tell people what's going on in my life because I expect them to hold me accountable. There's nothing wrong with expectations. There's nothing wrong with having people around you who may be stronger than you. There's nothing wrong with that. Because everybody, honestly, is stronger than us in some area in our life. And we need to reach out to them and hold on to those people because they can assist us in growth. Now, if the strength is somewhere that can help you grow is what you want, if it's something that's going to make you weak, then you need to remove that out of your life. So anyway, just try Christ any day. Try Christ any day. And before I leave, you just got to talk about Christ. I got to let you know, 1 John 14:8 said, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. And they're like, what? What does that mean? Hey, you just got to read it for yourself. Just do not fear, man. Continue to love. Continue to love. Continue to love. Hey, this is the Red Tape Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Demerious. This is brought to you by For the One Media, where we move progressively forward in a conservative way. Hey, we're going to have progress every single day. Every time y'all cut this on, we're going to have some type of progress. Anytime you tune in, you're like, I know that guy's going to give me something to help me move forward. That's what we're about, guys. Hey, I'm Demerious Nelson. This is the Red Tape Podcast. Peace.